During the turn of the 1900s, the only four railways that existed on Sodor were the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway, the Skarloey Railway, the Mid-Sodor Railway, and the Sodor and Mainland Railway. However, there was a less-known railway not too far from the W&S. This was the Hawin Lake Branch. It was a short line connected to Kildane and looped around to Alstead. This line had a small branch, a mortuary railway. The church up the valley could only be reached by rail. The church was surrounded by grand Victorian gardens and cemeteries where most sermons and funerals took place. It was run by one little tank engine. There was a one-off design built sometime around the early 1850s, if I'm not mistaken. She worked on the line for many years, going up and down the valley to deliver people to their final resting place for their lost loved ones. Day by day, she would do this until the sun came down. The line was small and didn't need any more than her. Down the valley lay Howin Lake. It looped around to the station down below. If one wasn't careful, they would slip and fall in. The engine knew this all too well, and her driver was a hardy man in his age and a jack of all trades, treating his engine like the daughter he never had. Whenever on the returning train, he would always be careful when going down, always applying her brakes at the appropriate moment. One day, however, something changed. One stormy evening, the rails were slippery, and the lake rose a few inches due to the incoming heavy rain and strong winds. It was a foggy, moonlit night. The engine's driver had not shown up that day for reasons unknown, so a replacement had to be brought in. She was preparing to head back down when a gust of wind lunged her forward. She started moving slowly at first, then faster and faster. The line ahead had been submerged due to the increased height of the lake, and nobody bothered to warn the crew or the guard. The engine rounded a bend and disappeared into the blanketed fog down below at the bottom of the valley. Luckily, nobody was in any of the coaches, but the passengers, guard, and crew were shocked at the revelation that occurred in their own eyes. Next morning, once the weather cleared, a small search party had been sent down the lake. There was absolutely no sign of her at all. Her coaches, however, were found derailed in a ditch. Everyone was still confused where the engine could have gone. It's like she vanished into thin air. The railway soon closed down due to the outbreak of World War I, and was left to rot for well over a century. Its cemeteries that were once quiet and peaceful, now abandoned and reclaimed by nature. However, some have claimed that they could hear strange noises coming from the old church, along with the red light flashing through its windows. Some who were brave enough traveled down the old line in search to find the engine, but none have returned. Be warned that any time one is up at Kildane on a foggy night, one will hear the puffing of an old engine, the shriek of its whistle, the shriek of its whistle, and the sound of her scream. Stay still. She's trying to make her way to the cemetery. For even in death, she still carries